Okay, so students, good morning, everyone. Here we have Mr. Deep Majumder. He is the CEO and founder of Alpha Trend and Neural Trend. So, sir is going to take the online session over the understanding role of entrepreneurship to idealize innovation, product design, and market management. So, students, it's a good opportunity. Here we are going to interact with the Majumder sir. He is CEO of Alpha Trend. Basically, this Alpha Trend is a data analytic company that helps financial traders find their next alpha with minimum risk. Whereas Neural Trend empowers brands and retailers to take real-time action on merchandise through big data and AI. Currently based on Chicago and Los Angeles, he was born in a small town near Darjeeling. And after his bachelor's in engineering, he did his master's in computer science from the University of Southern California. He also has an MBA in economics and finance from the University of Chicago's finance program. During the first 15 years of his career, Mr. Majumder worked for multiple companies, including non-profit small companies also. In his mid-30s, he decided to start his own company, fueled by the venture capital. So students, sir having good experience in the entrepreneurship. Sir is the live example. Here we have the good opportunity to learn something from the Deep sir. So sir, welcome sir in this session, and now over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Raghurat.
So students, one more thing, you need to open your cameras, and if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly from the sir. Do not use your chat box. So, and we like when you will be more interactive, means ask the question and more interactive with sir. Okay, so students, so sir, now welcome sir, you can start your session.
Thank you. First of all, don't call me sir. I'm dead, right? I'll appreciate like if you have your cameras on, and we want to make this a little bit more interactive. And I hope you can understand what I'm saying. And if you have any questions, just unmute yourself. Drop something on your Slack. And I'm not paying attention to not Slack, the chat window. And Professor Raghurat, if you can just let me know if someone's asking any question on chat, that will be helpful. Guys, it's 45 at night in Chicago, so a little tired. End of my day. I start my day at like around 5 in the morning. I got a 6-year-old and a wife, and I live in downtown Chicago. This class, Professor Raghurat and Professor Prashant, they reached out to me and said, what can we talk about in entrepreneurship? And they had a topic, which is innovation, market, and product. And I just wanted to add my own thing. That's from my learning experiences, how to be a human being, doing all those things that you do every day, right? It's not a lecture on like how to live your life, but it is very, very important when you try to start a company and run your business. So I just wanted to put it out there. This is me. I run a holding company that has 2 data companies. One is Alpha Trend and other is Neural Trend. Alpha Trend serves the Alpha Trend vertical serves the retail industry. And if you can see from the name, the Neural Trend is actually cognitive neural networks. So that's where our name came from, and I'm a very, very tech intensive guy. So somehow that's what resonates with me. So I just went with it. In reality, most folks can't even spell Neural Trend. So you got to understand, like from marketing perspective, it's a disaster. They'll say neutral trend. They'll say something like that. I did my master's in computer science from USC, and I have my MBA from Chicago Booth, University of Chicago. For about 12, 13, 14 years, I worked for Fortune 500s, nonprofits and small businesses. I was born in Darjeeling. I don't know how many of you know Darjeeling, but it's a small town in North Bengal. And then I moved to LA before I moved to Chicago. My mom asked me to put up this photo, and she thinks it's pretty cool. So she's the only one thing I'm good looking, by the way. What do I do? What are my skills? Like, I run two companies. Basically as a founder and CEO, my role kind of runs between writing code to running day-to-day operations, sometimes babysitting, sometimes dog sitting. So it varies a lot from my day-to-day. I'm taking meetings at a Starbucks, or sometimes even in a train, like just sitting next to the client and just talking to them. So there's no glamour to what I do in my day-to-day. Okay, but my skill lies mostly around product market fit to scaling a business. Does it make sense to you all? Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a sir. I'm a dip. I'm not in academics. I don't do I'm not a lecturer. That's Professor Raguraj. I just, my skills change over time, and I'm I just run a couple of businesses. So what my my skills are product market fit and scale, and I kind of spend most of my time building and commercializing businesses with external financing. That means they're typically either I'll take a debt, I'll take some sort of investors from outside. So I'll get some VCs, some angels to come around and finance a project that I'm working on, and then kind of make it a team deal. That's what I do. How many of you know this guy? No one knows this guy?
No idea.
Okay, how many of you ever watched Shark Tank? Can you guys mute? Can you guys unmute? How many of you watched Shark Tank? No one watched Shark Tank? You know who this is?
I don't really remember his name, but yeah, he was one of the hosts.
Yeah, he's I got some static in there. Yes. His name is Mr. Wonderful, and yes, you got a static behind you. This guy is Mr. Wonderful, and he's one of the billionaires out of Canada. And you know the Barbie dolls? That's from a company called Mattel. And this guy was the guy who made Barbie dolls. So any kids, if you played with Ken and Barbie, and heard the song "I'm a Barbie Girl," this is the guy. This is the face behind actual Barbie. Okay, but I just wanted to bring up a quote of this guy. Okay, I just want you guys to hear this, what it says. I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see. I don't think.
Everybody should be an entrepreneur. Third of the people can handle what it takes because it is a really hard gig. People try to make it exciting. Running a business it's hard as hell, and not everybody wants to sacrifice the lifestyle requirement to do. You're giving up a lot. You're not going to hit all those soccer games on the weekend. You're not going to go to the family picnic. You're going to miss a lot of stuff in your young kids' lives because you're just working, because your competitors are working that way. I think it's a sacrifice. I don't think everybody should be an entrepreneur. I actually think.
So I just wanted to. I just wanted to encourage everybody not to be an entrepreneur if you think it's kind of a fancy. It's not what social media tells you, okay? Before you try to become an entrepreneur and spend your life trying to become an entrepreneur, should think about it. And if you come from a background where your parents are have run businesses, you should ask them when they started, how was it for them? Not at this stage, not after 20 years, but when they started. It's very different. Okay. So I say, just be careful what you get into. One thing that I'm not going to talk about today is a small stores or consulting or real estate. Business I am in. This is the kind of business I'm in. Let's say if you were to start any of the FANG companies, if you were to start Salesforce or Apple, what would you do today from where we stand today? That's what we're going to discuss. The first part, Professor Raguraj mentioned, was to talk about innovations. When you start a business, from scratch, you're solving three very specific problems. These are the problems. Is there market demand? Can we sell it? And can we build it? You guys are engineers, right? So what do you think is the most important of all these three things?
First one.
Why do you think that?
So because if the demand will not occur, then the concept that can be built or can be sell it, they both will not occur. Means the basic idea is.
Yes, you got to start. You got to echo in your background.
Actually, multiple devices are connected here.
Can you mute one of your?
I would like my position here.
Okay.
Market demand is, I guess, the most appropriate criteria, because if you have a demand in the market, so we'll think a little bit out of the box, the way we can sell it, or the product we are going to innovate in the market, is there is it fruitful for the society or not. So if there's a market demand, then only we will fulfill these criteria, or we will think over these criteria that either we can sell it or we can build it. Yes, sir.
That's right. So the first thing, all these three things are big problems. You have to solve them anyhow. And as a founder, you're kind of juggling between the three. Okay. your engineers, so one of the things, that first thing that gets into your mind is, okay, I can build an app and it will work. Sure, it will work, but will anyone buy? So you got to figure out, how to sell this thing before you even build it. Else you're kind of, again, wasting your time. Damn, it's cold in here. Before you even start thinking about, an app, a business, a technology, something innovative, the first thing you actually have to start is the industry. Okay, no exceptions. Like if you think that you'll build an app, something you're seeing, I don't know about many companies in India, but let's say you think that you're going to build a new Twitter app, okay, or a new WhatsApp. You have to think about, like, what does the industry look like for that app or for that application before even you start building one. Okay, so for anything you do, always look into industry. Okay, and when you're looking into industry, what sort of information you're trying to find. You can just Google this thing. Okay, it's very easy. You just Google your industry. So for example, I'm in the right now I'm in the crypto industry, and I'm in the NFT, very specifically NFT. I'm building this NFT tools for NFT flippers, or we call them degenerates, but they are the ones who pump money into NFT, and we kind of build analytics tool for them. And to do something like that, it's a very new industry. We look into few of these things in the industry. Okay, we look into what something called CAGR. CAGR means your cumulative growth over time. How long has this industry existed in the market? Like NFT is about 6 years old, very new. How much of investment has gone into it? In trillions now. And how much we know about it. Sometimes, our knowledge is actually the least important thing in the factor that goes into choosing an industry. You don't really have to know everything. You have to know the basics, of course, but you don't have to know everything. But always start with an industry. And you should start looking into CAGR before you look into anything else. You guys have any questions on that?
So if you can elaborate something like more about this CAGR.
More about CAGR?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, CAGR is the cumulative growth within an industry. For example, if you think about oil and gas industry, okay, and you look into, I'm gonna pull up oil and gas. So all you do is, like, see, you put oil and gas CAGR, and you'll see something like this. Okay, some market research company will give you an average CAGR of that industry. Okay, so it is 5.4% growth, which means if you are trying to, in our language, we call this a red market. That means penetrating a market like oil and gas is going to be very, very hard for anybody. Okay, so if you start, because the opportunity, if you put $1 into that, you're not going to get too many dollars back. So any time and money you spend in an industry that's not giving you any return, it's a business, right? So you want the money back. So if the industry is like full of competitors, people already know, like, you're not gonna have a new Shell, you're not gonna start a new British Petroleum. Like, if you start those kind of oil companies, the odds are very low that you'll be able to surpass any of the existing oil and gas companies, right? So you're not gonna be able to take on the competitors, you'll have a lot of problems, and you're not going to make a lot of revenue. Even if you win, the opportunity to do more than what they do is pretty less. Okay. Now let me look into CAGR of crypto industry. So CAGR of crypto market is at 11.1%, which means it has a lot more growth than oil and gas. Let me see the CAGR of. See, CAGR of NFT is at 33.9%. Okay. So from actually, it's the same company, if you can see, the same market research company is providing all that. So that's the reason why or if I put a rupee in, right, I'm gonna get five rupees back. If I put a rupee in NFT, I'm gonna get 33% back. Think about it like that. But it's actually not bad. Like, it's more like whether it's a blue ocean or a red ocean. Blue ocean means how much opportunity are there in the market. 33% is excellent, whereas 5.4% is not bad, but it's like I wouldn't put my money in it. Does that make sense? Aman? Did it make sense? Like, you know?
Yes, sir, yes, yes, yes.
Okay. History investments. So when I pick up an industry, I kind of tend to go back into something called, at least here, I have access to something called PitchBook, and I would see who are the top investors in the space. Okay, is Bill Gates investing in something? Is Bill Tai investing in something? Is Anderson Horowitz investing in that industry? So I would look into those investments, and if they are, they have already done their due diligence on. It's not a rocket science. Like, okay, these guys are doing it. It's already tested, so I would go for it. Okay, so that's one of the things I'll look at. And history is the newer the industry, not too new, but if the industry is new, there's sufficient amount of players in the market, not just competitors, but players in the market. I would consider that as a good industry as well. So if you're trying to, let's say, build an app for or build an app to provide, let's say, if you build an app that provides NLP data sets, or versus you provide an app that provides, I don't know, image recognition, like these are typically two different industries in terms of its use. I would say the image recognition industry would have a lot higher growth because they go into things like healthcare, aviation, security, and all that stuff. Versus NLP kind of does have its uses, but it's kind of red by now. Like, NLP is like a commodity right now. You know, it's not. It's not. What do you call it? It's not a luxury. Like, everyone has it. All right. So one of the things about starting a business is you need to create a value prop for your customers of why they should be buying a product, right? So let's say I'm a customer and you want to sell me something. I have to know that I need that stuff, else you cannot sell me your product, right? So we're gonna learn about a little bit about value prop. But can someone, other than Aman and Yash, tell me how they would define value prop?
Hello, sir. I would like to answer this.
Yeah.
So, value proposition, according to me, what the product we are delivering in the market. So, what value it adds to the lifestyle, like why people should consider the product which we are delivering them. So, this is what we can term as value proposition.
Close. Close. So let's try to define how you're going to create a value prop and why a value prop is really important. Let's take an example. Let's say I have actually a friend in Gujarat. What he wants to do is he wants to automate a scraping. So he owns a shipping yard, and he gets his he takes old ships. His company breaks it down, and he takes the metal parts and breaks it into scraps, and he sells it to folks who makes caps and metal sheets and stuff like that. So his job is from taking breaking down ships to take the scrap metals out, and he sells them. Okay. So one of his job, in his job, he came to me and he said, "Dip, I wanna build this automated AI tool that will separate copper from aluminum, okay, and from other metal sheets." So he has 5 or 6 different metal sheet types of metals, and he wants to separate them out. So how do I go about doing something like that? And he actually wants to run his own venture from scratch and not do this with his family. So he just wanted to know how to start that. So my advice to him is, who is your customer and why they would be interested in doing something like this? And he told me that, well, there are a lot of other companies, small companies in Gujarat that does this type of separation of metals. So I said, the first thing that you should be doing is you should be taking up the phone and calling them, calling the owners that do they need something like this. Okay. If they're not picking up the phone, you can shoot them an email. You can drive to them. If you have a bicycle, you can ride your bike to them, or you can walk up to them. But the most important thing is you need to talk to your customers. Most of the entrepreneurs, what they think is, I'm going to sit on my chair, I'm going to come up with an idea, I did all my passive research, and of course the market will love it. Not going to happen. So you need to take the phone and you need to start making calls. Okay, don't be shy about it. You're not going to lose anything. Start writing emails, start making those calls, and remember, guys, when you make these calls, the thing is, you're out there trying to help somebody, either provide a value that would, increase their business, or it will help them, remove some of the pain points. So you're actually doing a favor by picking up the phone for these folks. So just pick up the phone and start making calls. Okay. Once you start making these calls, you don't have a value prop. We are going to build a value prop right now. You start making these calls and start, calling your customers. What you need to do is, the first thing is you start calling them and you ask them, "Hey, Mr. Yadav, what do you do in a day-to-day? Like, what are your job? What are your tasks that you perform to do what you do every day. Okay. And if you're persistent enough, and even though Mr. Yadav is not your friend, but if you're persistent enough, at some point he'll start sharing with you like what are his pains. Okay. What are the things that gives him trouble in his business, what he likes, what he doesn't like about his work, and when he's performing these tasks, what are working for him or him and what's not working for him. But before he tells you all about all the pains, he's going to insist on sharing all the gains he had. He's not going to be like, hey, it's all good. Like, I get everything right. I'm making money. I don't need your help. Everything is going fine. And these are the things is going fine. But if you can win his trust, he's going to finally come down to his pains. And you need to listen to these pains. And that's where most of your dollar comes in. Okay. Now, once you know these pains, and once you know what the gains are, and what how Yadav is making profit from this business, what you need to figure out is how to solve those pains and how to provide an acceleration to the gain that Yadav has. Okay, and that's what your products and services should do. Most of your money will come from when you have a pain reliever versus when you have a gain creator. Okay, but it varies from industry to industry and company to company. But I would suggest you, think about that in that sense. If your product is a nice to have versus if it's must have, there's a big difference. So you need to make sure that you're placing your product as a must have versus nice to have within these folks. And once you have these gain creators and pain creators, you can define what products and services you're going to build to say, okay, these services kind of help my customer get these gains, and these services help my customer get resolve these pains. So on the left hand side, you'll see you start from the right hand side. You see all your customers' gains and customer pains, and how they relate to, how you can build your own product that are going to solve these pains and these customer pains and help customers grow. If you have anything else, either that is not your customer or you're not building the right product. Okay, you should stop. But I will say, have at least hundreds of conversations to identify your customers' pain points in a segment before you decide to even start building a product. I'm going to take a pause and see, if you guys have any questions. Man, either I'm not doing a good job explaining to you, or you don't understand me, or you guys know all this stuff. Is this helpful in any way to y'all?
Yes, sir. It's quite
Yes, sir.
You guys know, you can always ask me any questions in the chat, or you can just turn on your video and ask me a question. You can stop me and ask me questions. All right. So once you know this value prop, what you need to do is you'll have to write that down in a way that's more meaningful. So when you write a value prop down and you go and talk to your customers, or you describe what you do, it becomes very natural and very easy. And this is how I write my value prop. Okay. If someone asks me, hey, Deb, what do you do? What does Alpha Trend do? Okay. So it's very simple for us. Okay. Like we say, we help, like when I started this conversation, if you remember, we help NFT traders or, financial traders do analytics by helping them find the next alpha and reducing their risk through a platform. So when you're defining what the value prop is for the customer, you have to just be very, very succinct, be very clear for your customers, and also very clear for yourself. And do not keep changing your value props. Like once you have found your value prop, you need to find a way to scale your customer base and find more and more folks who are interested in that value prop versus changing your value prop. So if you found 2 customers and you say, oh, there it goes. So my value prop is set. I'm going to start making money. Not going to happen. You gotta continue picking that phone and making the call. Hey, say, hey, I'm Aman. Mr. Yadav. This is what I do, and we can help you to this problem because we help you. We provide this service, and it has to be scripted. It has to be repeated. It has to be rinsed. It has to be clean. It has to be succinct. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
So, after you have a value prop, like now you have, even at this stage, you know the value prop, you know what your products are going to solve. I would strongly advise, do not build a product. Do not build a product. Do not build a product. No building products at this stage. First, have a value prop, understand your customers, understand the market, and then finally, if you're lucky, if there is a need, then you go build a product. Okay, let's hold off on jumping into the 3 of solving the product problem. You all are engineers. You guys are gonna solve it anyhow. Like any engineering problem, you can solve it. But you have to understand the market first and the market need first. So let's say now you have identified, let's say there are hundreds of businesses who are interested in the service that you're trying to build. You need to figure out, how to engage with this market. Okay, and I'm gonna spread it out so that it's not just for startups. When you engage with the market, there are different stages of a business in that market. Okay, you see this, everything is in bell curve. So if you're in an early stage, you're kind of in this bottom left side. When you're growing, you're in the this kind of a J curve on the left. That means your industry is declining. You're on the right side. Basically, it's when it's on the decline, and as it gets closer to the bottom, it's better to exit. Okay, like leave the business, go do something else. For someone like me, when I get to the middle of this J curve in the early stage, I sell my business. Okay, I either sell a portion, I break my business down and I sell a portion of the business, or I make probably most money. And then if my business is at this stage, so are everyone else in the space at this stage. It's not, the return is not as much. So it's, I would either find a way to merge with someone else, or I would just, sell part of the company to someone as a reseller or be part of their company. So at different stages, you have to attract your customers, you have to do certain things. When you're in that J curve here at the early stage, the bottom left, you need to push your product. You need to, like, after you have established a few basic customers, you need to push this to other customers as well. Okay. Do not try to do any incoming ads and marketing ads and all that stuff. You just need to push this to people who are more likely to buy this product. Do not shove it down in one's throat. It doesn't work. You do it, you need to find the right person who has it, right? Okay. If someone does like gobi, try to give them a right? Then it's a fantastic. I don't think we should go on for too long,
now it is visible, sir.
Yeah. So I'm going to get close to this. One of the things that you have to think about is competition is a very good sign. If you have competitors in the market, that proves that there is a market need for your product. So you just have to find the customers that your competitors are selling to, and figure out how to serve them better. Okay, but just know what's your edge over your product's edge over them. Now, building the product, this is the last thing that I recommend. That's the last of everything. It's all about customers. I said, don't build a product without your customers. Okay, even if you have an amazing product without any customer, it's actually not a product. It's just waste of your time. Timing the market is pretty important. You might have you have to know when to exactly get in the market. If it is too early or too late, no one's going to make money. So don't do it. You'll know when someone says, you present your product to somebody and says, that's interesting, that means you're way too early in the market. You should not be doing it. And in a mature market, it's a mature market. No one's even responding to your messages anymore. Before building a product, build it with, if you're building a product, build it with your customers. Have measurable use cases, like what is the problem, what is the KPI that solves building the product. Find out who are the repeatable customers, identify the market, and make sure that your sales process is repeatable. Do not scale. Do not try to get more and more customers before you know that you're able to satisfy first few customers. It's called going from 0 to 1 as a product market fit. If you try to scale too early, you're gonna drown in this situation. You just can't hold your business. So scale slowly. I don't think we'll get to this, but I added a value prop to this deck. Your professor might share this with you. Professor, is this a 1 hour or 1.5 hour call?
Sir, 1.5 hour up to 12:30.
Okay, so we can do this at the end.
Okay.
So but this really requires you guys to engage. I cannot do this on my own. So some of you need to be available to think about a business model with me, something that you guys are thinking of building. Maybe I can help you figure this out within the next 15 minutes. Okay, so if you have an idea, we can work this through today. You know, this I cannot insist more in an entrepreneurial process or being a CEO and running businesses is being human. As you know, in life, like life beats you down as you grow older. You have so many problems. You'll have so many personal problems in your life, and it kind of spills. Let's say your girlfriend got mad at you, or your boyfriend got mad at you, and you're kind of like in a sour mood, and your friend comes and you yell at them. It is obviously it is very it's a human being to have those sort of emotions. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a CEO of a company, you have lots of responsibilities, and it's not an easy one. And if you neglect this thing, you guys are going to make a lot of people very unhappy, and make their life miserable. So there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulder if you if you ever come to this route. Okay. And if you're not ready for such responsibilities, don't do this. Okay. This is something that I think about all the time. Okay. Doctors save lives. It's the entrepreneurs who put food on people's tables. Okay. You will be the reason why someone's going to be celebrating that Eid or Christmas or Diwali well with their family. I've seen a lot of businesses, what they say, hey, you're a DevOps guy, or you're the main programmer. I don't have any other resources. You need to stay here during Diwali and so that others can celebrate. That's not the way you want to run a business. It's not going to work for you. It's going to fail. Okay. You need to make sure that the folks that are with you, they have a good life, they have a good relationship with everybody around, and their life's not miserable because of how you're acting towards them. Your folks who you hire to help you build your business, most of the time, I've seen entrepreneurs and CEO, go like, hey, Aman, you work for me, right? Aman, even if he's working in that business, he actually doesn't work for the CEO. He doesn't work for the founder. Aman works for the business with the CEO and the founder, or his management team, or his peers. Aman doesn't work for you as a CEO. He never does. He's doing this because he likes it's a skill set he has. It's a skill that he has gained over time. He needs to make money for his family. He needs to take care of his parents. He needs to have some good life. He needs to take his European vacations in Italy. So he needs to do all that. Okay. And if you can't give him that opportunity, you should not be hiring Aman in the first place. Aman doesn't work for you. Aman works with you. Okay. Keep that concept in mind. Else, again, you're not going to be able to scale your business. Guys, this is a very, very lonely journey. Like you're at when you get to the top, even when you're grinding the way to the top, mental health will be your biggest challenge. You'll be very lonely. You're going to be struggling. There's no one you'll get to talk to unless there are other founders or someone who has gone through the same thing, but you still will have your own journey, and you're the only one who has to get yourself out of the rut. So again, that's why I say, be careful before you get into the space. Do not treat anyone in any way that you wouldn't treat yourself. Employees, vendors, partners, clients, keep that in mind. Okay, these are the folks who are actually helping you get you to the place that you want to go. Okay, you're not helping them. They're there for a purpose, and they're there because they are taking you to a certain location. You're doing nothing for them, but they are doing a lot for you in return. They're giving their hours, their lives, when they could do something different with someone else. I just put this out there. This is my emotions every day. You know, like this is like in one day, that's how my emotion goes. I'll be very happy. I'll be very sad. I'll be like excited the next moment and get really depressed for next 2 hours. And all that happens in every day, like every day. So it's not a steady thing to control. So you will be going through this. You're not someone any different from me, or you're not any different as a human being from Elon Musk or Bill Gates. They too go through this. You will go through this too. Yeah, that's what I had for y'all. I don't know how much I'm able to share or how much you guys understood what I shared. I'm at this point, I would like to open this up for conversations, and happy to go through. If someone has a business that they want to start, they're thinking about, we can actually go through an example of trying to solve that problem. Does somebody want to kick it off?
Hello, students. Any questions?
No, sir.
Does any one of you want to start a business?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aman, do you have a business idea?
It's like earlier on, I was having an idea, like I did not work on that.
What was your idea?
So I thought of like making an app for teaching students, or like for solving their doubts on through like on video calls. It was like, and the tutors will be paid, like will be given payment on the basis of the time they are devoting to the app, on the basis of like per minute. Like per minute, I would be giving them funds like payments, and like instead of just giving the solutions to the students, we should have tutors like have some real life approaches to the doubts, and it seems like a real world environment to the students.
Why did you choose?
An app. Yes.
Why did you choose this idea?
So like I was fascinated with like we have a Philo app here. The app, like I'm also a user of that app, so I was like pretty well motivated from that app. The problem in that app was like what certain things I would like to change from that app was that in that app the tutors were given the monthly payment, but what I would like to make change is that I would be giving the tutors uh, like payments on daily basis.
Okay.
So for this, like I would have to make some more business plan and other forms and all, so it's not quite easy, I guess.
Do you want to do it right now with me?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So let me start by saying this. Okay. You are actually in a space called EdTech. Okay. So let's see. EdTech, CAGR. Do you see this is a fantastic market already? You see that? It's a freaking 17.8% CAGR. Like it's like you're already thinking in a golden spot. Okay, as far as the industry, Aman, if I can see you, I'll appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
You're and don't call me sir. I'm Dip. I have my name right there. I'm nobody's sir. My dad is a sir. You know, I'm very young. At least I believe so. My wife doesn't agree with me, but I still think I'm young. So call me Dip. And as you can see, this is a 17.8%. I have you here on my right hand side, and my screen is right here. It's a 17.8% CAGR. All I did is just, you know, I searched, I Googled this, EdTech CAGR. EdTech is your industry, and I just did that. And I just pulled up, I just Googled it. It took me less than 2 seconds to tell me whether this is a good market or not, good industry or not. So it's a fantastic industry, okay? Now, let's work a little bit further into your business by going through you know, a business model. Okay, so the first thing that I do, so this is a value prop model that I kind of use whenever I'm thinking of brainstorming a new product, or I need to start a, you know, whenever I think about having a new business idea, you know, I get millions of ideas every day. And then I have a lot of friends who are more foolish than I am, like, you know, they're the bigger idiots. So they like my idea and they'll say, okay, you're doing good, you know, but we both are idiots. So it just doesn't end up in a good spot. But typically, you know, this is the thing that I would do that will bet, like, okay, are all of us sitting in the boardroom, are we really idiots, or are we actually onto something? Okay. So the first thing I do is when I look into this business model, there are many ways to start, but I typically start at the right-hand side where the customer segment is. For me, it's all about customers, okay? Let's see, let me see if I can edit text. I want to know from you, Alan,
Yes, sir.
who are your customers? Okay, customer means who are the ones who are going to pay you. Okay, not your customers, but rather people who are going to pay you. Who are those people?
Like, that's like students will be my customers. School
What?
students. School
School
students will be
students.
my customers. Yes, sir. From 9
Okay.
to 12. First class 9 to 12.
Okay. School students. They're what grade? 9th grade to middle school. Yeah, 12th grade. Okay. Okay. So, how old is a kid when he goes to ninth grade?
It's high school, the entire high school.
What's the age?
13.
13. So does a 13-year-old have enough money to pay you the amount that you're looking for? Are they the ones who's going to go to work and earn some money and give you the money?
Would be so severe, like that's quite affordable to them. Like it would be approx 300 to 400 per month.
300 rupees per month, right?
Yeah, yes.
So do you think a 13-year-old kid who's going to 9th grade goes out and works in a Starbucks or in a library or somewhere, and he will earn maybe 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees a month and give you the 300 rupees that you're looking for? Who's paying that 300 rupees?
Of course, the parents.
Bingo. That's your customer. Your students are your users.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's put it parents off.
Students.
9th grade students. Okay. So not this. Students are your users. Okay. Now the next question is, what kind of students are you targeting? Are they good students, bad students, like poor students? Like when I said poor, like poor in studies, like Dip used to be when he was a kid, never studied, always in the playground, always, having a lot of, like trying to, at least thinking that he has a lot of girlfriends. He never did. So like that kind of students, or someone who's like studying a lot more, that kind of student.
Yes, like students who have interest towards studies and like they wanted to have the doubts to be cleared, or if they are quite interactive during the sessions. So we love to have handle that type of students.
So parents of studious students. So parents who are like, who thinks that their kid is smart, like they study, like their kids might not be studying, but the parents think that their kids are studying, and whatever the kids say, it must be important, So the kids go to their parents and say, I need this stuff, need this product that Aman Incorporated is selling. And parents would go, oh, he's a smart kid, he's probably right? So that's how you kind of sell. But what you're selling is, when they put that credit card in, it's your
Often practical way of solving the questions. So this way, the students will be getting interactive and they will love to learn from us. So this way we can go.
I still didn't follow you, but I'm sorry, you're breaking up, Aman. So, but if I got this correctly, like, one of the best ways to engage with the parents is through word of mouth, through those kids. Okay. If I were in your shoes, Aman, what I would do is I would go to this school, like, talk to the tuition folks that these kids go to, or even stand in front of the school and hire 5 kids from the school and say, hey, I'm going to give you 100 rupees or 1,000 rupees. All you have to do is go and tell everybody that Aman Incorporated is awesome. Okay. And we can help. And just go to all the other kids and say, hey, I got, and I would go to the more like smart kids in the school who got more score and say, hey, I use Aman Incorporated and here's $100.
Yes.
So they're spreading the word, but you get into a legality if you do something like that. At least in the United States, you do. So one of the things is, I typically try to do is, hey, you're the smartest kids. Why don't you try our platform for free for next 1 year or 2 years? In exchange, what you have to do is you have to bring in more students to my app, and here's a referral code that you can use. The more students get it, the more longer you get access to our app for free, and you don't have to pay anything. So the smarter kids go and tell the dumber kids that, hey, this is the app I use to get smarter grades, and they go and tell their parents about it. All right. So that's one channel. The other channel is putting some banner ads in front of the schools, to where board exams are held, right? So having that Aman Incorporated ad, stuff like that.
Yes.
You need to figure out the full section is your distribution channel. So you need to figure out how you can reach out to this. It's an app, so it's very obvious, like it's going to be a phone app or a web app, or sometimes you can send questionnaires on emails. So that's your distribution channel. Okay. Next thing is your key activities. What do you think you would do for key activities here?
Like, please can you help me? Like, what should I mention in key activities? Like, what point should be mentioned in this key activities?
So, one of the things that you might think about is you have to interact with like I mentioned, you have to interact with the smarter kids, right? To sell your service and give them for free. Okay, that's one. Two, yeah, you basically have to maybe work with a company that builds apps, right? Unless you know how to build apps. If you know how to build apps, you're basically one of your activities building the app. 2, 3 is you need to work with some marketing companies that will, sell your app for you. So you need to negotiate those tools. Those are some of those activities you probably have to do. Okay, you have to network a lot. In a business, you network a lot. So you go and talk to the teachers, probably because they're the ones solving the problem. So you have to meet with a lot of teachers because it's a two-sided platform. Unless there are teachers, you won't get it. So you need to get a lot of teachers in place, right? So talking to the teachers is basically an activity. But if you get into key resources, you need to figure out, like, what is the key resources, or who are the key resources? Okay, give me an example of key resource, someone that you think is going to be essential for this.
So, key resources could be something like the way we solve the problems, or the way our apps work, like it's easy to use and all. So can we mention that in key resources?
No. A key resource would be, for you, the teachers who are going to teach are the key resources for this. Okay, as a human capital. Okay.
Yes.
The teachers might be using some sort of books that are digital books. I don't know if that's how you guys do it. But you might also need a developer to build this thing. That person would be a key resource. Okay. But not the app itself. Your app is a distribution channel. It's nothing more than a distribution channel. Okay. Your business has not.
We can go with the whiteboards. So that's a key resource, right? Like the teacher writing on the screen with the pen.
Yeah, that would be a tool. Libraries and tools are probably some of the key resources, right? So the next is the key partners. So if you know your resources, you probably find out who the key partners are. So obviously, you might have a marketing company help you as a partnership, and you share your revenue with them. A dev company probably builds your product. So those are your key partners. I'm rushing it because we're at the end of the hour. And then you also have to figure out the cost structure of this. You've got to figure out whether your product and service that you're providing is a cost-driven service or a value-driven service. Okay, cost-driven service means you make more money when you when you build more services. Okay, which is not true for this. So, for example, a car, like the way a Toyota makes money is if they make more Toyota cars, they have more customers, right? They can't sell one Toyota car to millions of customers. So that's a cost-driven. And value-driven is what you are in the space, which is, you can focus on, giving value to your students and value to your teachers in both the directions. And you can upsell them with some value props, right? Things like that. And then that drives your cost for like paying salaries for variable. You have variable costs like your internet cost or your server hosting cost if you're on an Elastic server and things like that. right? And then finally, really, really important, you're running a business. You need to make money. You got to figure out how you're going to make money. How are you going to make money, Aman?
Like if more and more students are joining our channels, they will pay us. And we make money.
They're going to pay you, and you're going to take the money and you're going to pay it to your teachers. What are you left with? And your vendors and your marketing people, all these people.
Yes, like maybe in the initial state we will suffer like for the finance, but if thing goes well and like more and more number of students are joining, we reach to more of these students. So in the long run, my business may be a perfect one, I guess. But maybe
so where are you going? Initially, you need some capital to start this business. Is that what I hear?
Yes. Yeah.
Where is that money? Where is that money coming from? Tell me you're a rich dad.
No, not possible. for this, like I will have to approach the investors and all, and make them understand what my business plan actually is, and if they're like getting interest in my business, so we can collaborate with the investors, and if they're ready to fund, so we may start that.
It's a very, very tough game.
So yeah, it's not
very crowded space.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
figure that. You got to figure that out for your business. Then that's your blocker. If you need upfront capital, okay. So maybe that's what you should focus on.
The biggest one. Yes.
Okay. If Professor Raghuraj will share the deck with you probably at some point, and I left an open canvas. If you're ever interested to fill that up, you can do that. And if you guys if you ever want to connect with me, or if you need anything, that's my email. You can just drop me an email there. So that's all I got, Professor Raghuraj. Prashant.
Fine, absolutely, sir. Your session was very good, very nice. So
I don't know if I was able to help. I couldn't get the guys to engage. No one engaged except Aman and Mr. Yadav here.
Two students, only two students opened their cameras. So anyway, sir, thank you, Deep, for giving idea about entrepreneur and sharing your knowledge to our students. And I think students have learned a lot from here. And sir, we will be more delighted if you have more online sessions and offline also when you come to India.
Yeah, it's been a while. I haven't been to India in like 9 years. So I don't get that time, but yeah, of course, if I'm in India, I'll come and visit maybe sometime.
So I'm just seeing, I'm just seeing the time. It's and I think it's 2 a.m. So sir,
it is 2 a.m. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for giving us time. Means precious time, we can say. It's a sleeping time. You are taking like.
It is sleeping time. Yes. Okay. I have some sleeping time. This is the only time I get to I don't get to sleep. I am in a process of acquiring another business, and growing my current vertical in NFT. So I don't get much time these days. But once I get, maybe by December, I'll get some time.
Okay. Good wishes from our end.
All right. Thank you. All right.
So,
all right.
So now, sir, I think we should close the session, sir, or any more?
Yes. And if the students have any questions, Professor Raghuraj, they can email me. And if they don't like something, I'll always like to hear feedback. Yeah. If they don't, this is for them, right? We do all these things for the students.
Sure.
So
sure. I will share your idea.
Just something.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
It was nice talking with you.
Yeah.